joined today by Stuart Gale, Managing Director of Meteoric Resources. Stuart, thanks for your time.
G'day, David.
A high-grade, large rare earth project in Brazil, getting better and better as the years progress. Why is this project so exciting, and what have you achieved in the last 12 months?
Well, David, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The grades, the recoverability, and the scale of the Caldera project in Brazil are enormous. And to top it all off, we're also a very low-cost operation. So as we sit here and we look at the next steps for Meteoric, we look at it in the context of bringing the project to fruition. It's important for people to understand that Meteoric's really only been operating in the Caldera for the last couple of years, and we've come an enormous way over that period of time. From the first resource, which we put out in May 2023, we now stand with 740 million tonnes. The resource for an ionic clay is absolutely world class. And the great thing about it is the drilling work that we've done over the last little period continue to add to that resource. And not only do they continue to add to the resource, they continue to improve that overall resource. We see that in Barra de Bacu, which is immediately south of where we'll start our operations. And we're also seeing it in the north, which is starting to set itself up as a bit of a potential expansion hub as we go forwards. Excellent grades, virtually no strip ratio, and really something that we think is going to be a disruptor for the rare earth markets globally.
And in August, September last year, you did release a scoping study. So you started to wrap some numbers around it. What did it look like, and why did these numbers excite you?
It was a really important first step to get the economics of the project into the market. It was the first time the market had had an opportunity to have a look at that scoping study. And as we put the scoping study in, the big question is, what price deck do you use? So we chose two. We chose an Adamus price deck, and we discounted that by 40%, and we chose a spot price. And in both of those scenarios, the project stacks up. This is the one that actually stacks up. Obviously, in the Adamus price deck environment, the numbers are very, very compelling. 20-year mine life, 5 million tonne per annum throughput, $1.4 billion NPV with a 40% IRR. We pay it back in just over 2 years. But even at spot, this project works. Even at spot, this project works. And I think that's the really important thing, because what it says is that we can pay our investors back within sort of a 4-year time frame. And that's really important if you're an investor looking to get money out of a company, which of course is what we're all in it for. So that's an important thing. And the reason for that is that the costs of production from the Caldera project are on the absolute left-hand side of the global rare earths cost curve. And that's a really important place to be, because we all know, having been in the commodity space for a long period of time, that you have commodity cycles, booms and busts. If you're on the left-hand side, you weather the busts. If you're on the left-hand side, you take most advantage for the booms. And that's exactly where we want to be. And what's really important about that is we've done a lot of work in terms of that cost base. We've spent a lot of time with ANSTO and other metallurgical organisations to test the metallurgy of the project, to test the process, and to get a really good understanding of how we're going to manage this thing as we go forwards. So all of those things were important to bring out from the scoping study. The scoping study doesn't include our most recent exploration results at Barra de Bacu and 2 weeks ago at Agostino. They're being incorporated into our overall resource update. That resource update is naturally going to grow, and so 740 million tonnes is going to be a thing of the past. There's no doubt it'll be a lot bigger than that. And what we'd like to do is to include Barra de Bacu in our PFS, which we're working on at the moment. So for us, the PFS is the next key thing. Once you've got a PFS in place, you can go and speak to the funders. And that's really important for us as well.
So in addition to the PFS, what else should investors be focused on over the next 6 to 12 months? What are some of the highlights?
Yep, so clearly PFS. We're working with all of the environmental agencies in Brazil. So we lodged our environmental impact statement in May last year, and that process is moving along really well. So we've had a couple of key outcomes from those processes. Public hearing in Caldas, we've had the EPA on site and working with our environmental teams. That's gone well. We've received approvals for a starter pit to do some trial work. So those sorts of things are moving along really well, but it's a process, and we continue to work along the process from an environmental perspective. Funding is important for us as well. We're working with the Brazilian government through the BNDES, which is the Brazilian Development Bank. They've been really very supportive of the Caldera project, and that was highlighted in our inclusion in the Brazilian infrastructure platform, which was launched late last year. The only mining company out of 14 projects at that time that were included in that platform. So, what Brazil are doing is trying to link up the upstream, the miners, with the downstream, the people who are actually consuming the product in all its guises. I'm going to Brazil in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll have more discussions with the BNDES, with the BIP, and potential investors around how we can make all of that work. So I'm very, very excited about the Brazilian support for this project, as they should.
Strong support within country, a world-class project, the exact spot where you want to be on the cost curve, and at the end of December, $29 million in the bank to fund all of these activities. Exciting times ahead for Meteoric and its shareholders. Stuart, thanks for your time.
Great. Thanks, David.